Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your Calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we took on the Boston Bruins in the first round of playoffs, and it wasn't very good for us at all, as we end up getting cheese, which we kind of expected almost in a way, but at the same time, we were just really hoping it wasn't the case. So yeah, it was a really tough first round for our team. And in terms of the offensive production, I think we did relatively well. We got some decent depth scoring, but we just had major trouble keeping the puck out of the net. As you can see, Solovyov rocked an 811 save percentage through 4 games. Did pick up in a shutout though, which is nice. But yeah, both him and Hainsey really didn't do that well in that series, and that was pretty much the downfall of the team. I wouldn't say our defense was super bad. Maybe Boyd was bad, but in general, I was okay with our defensive core. It was just the goaltending just didn't live up to its expectations. Allowed way too many goals in way too short a span. As you can see, we allowed 27 goals in that series, which is outrageous. So hopefully going forward, we could have better playoff runs than this. Obviously, it sucks considering the year before we went to the Stanley Cup Finals. So hopefully we find a way to get back there again soon. Obviously, this offseason, we're going to be making some adjustments because of certain player roles and all that stuff. So hopefully that kind of maybe makes us have a better chance next season. But anyways, before we get into the draft and resign stage, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will see what we can end up snagging up at the draft and what we could do in terms of transactions. So the first comment is from Sour Taku, says, that was the biggest load of EA Sim Engine baloney ever. No way you should have been beaten by that team. For the draft, the players you pinned look good. Take the low lead right wing, left wing in the first round, and that goalie in the second. Salmelainen should be traded, and Wallace could be let go of in favor of the young center in the farm system. So yeah, it was the biggest baloney ever, probably because we should have probably won that series based on the fact that they weren't averaging that much goals for per game, the Boston Bruins, during the regular season. But in the playoffs, they all of a sudden found their game completely and scored a shit ton of goals on us, and we had nothing that we could do. But he's saying for the draft to take the left wing, right wing that we are pinned, which I honestly don't even remember who he was because it's been a couple days again since I've recorded an episode of this. But so he's saying basically first round to take Ragnarsson with our first pick, which is definitely what we're going to lean towards doing. He looks pretty solid. He is 3 years out, so he's probably like a 65 overall, but is somebody that we could use kind of maybe down the road like Ciofito, where he plays on both sides, which is kind of nice. So I think definitely he could be a pretty solid selection. And then he's saying to take the goaltender in the second round, which, yeah, I'm leaning towards this goaltender too. I don't know what it is about him. The fact that he's a high fringe starter is kind of intriguing, and the fact that he's got good attributes and is only 2 years out is also kind of interesting. So I think this guy could be a legit NHL goaltender, and maybe he won't grow to being the highest overall goalie in the world, but maybe he'll simulate really good because of that. So definitely going to give a chance with this guy and grab him for our prospect pool. He also says about Salmelainen getting traded and Wallace letting go of. Obviously, I think it definitely makes sense to let go of Wallace this offseason. The main reason why is because of the young center we have in the AHL that should be coming up, that being Solovyov, I think it was, or who was it? Who was it? There was definitely somebody down in the AHL. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, it was Korolyuk, not Solovyov. I don't know why I'm trying to say Solovyov because of our goaltending situation. But yeah, Korolyuk, yeah, he's the guy that should be at a fourth-line center for us next season. Now, I probably would prefer him to be on a third-line type of role considering he's a sniper, but we might have to play him on a fourth line to start off his NHL career or something like that. But it'll be nice to have him in the NHL and give us a bit more depth again down the middle, and also kind of give us a guy that could actually win faceoffs maybe a bit more than Wallace, because Wallace is a right winger, so he's not even a centerman. He's a decent player. He's not usually too expensive, but he's also listed as a third line scoring forward, so I don't even know if I could really promise him ice time like that. So letting go of him in favor of the youngster, I think, makes a lot of sense. And then trading Salmelainen is probably going to be the big thing that we do this offseason, is just trading him away, because Schaefer should be in a top 4 type of role, so trading him will free up that roster spot. Obviously, it kind of sucks to trade somebody like Salmelainen, though, because Salmelainen's been a pretty solid defender here, but we had to make a tough decision, and probably he's the best one to move. You know, he's been a minus 75 through 642 career games, so his defensive stats not the best, maybe more because of the rebuild, but he's been a good goal-scoring defenseman. Doesn't usually pick up a ton of points, but he has been reliable. He wasn't very good this year in the playoffs, like only 2 points through 6 games. But yeah, hopefully we can get him to go somewhere for like a first round pick in the future, because that would just give us at least a chance to get maybe somebody that's just as good as him down the road. So does like to trade him, but that's probably what we're going to be ending up doing, just because I think Schaefer deserves a chance in that top 4. And Schaefer's been actually way better defensively too for the start of his career, so I think it makes the choice of taking Schaefer and putting him in the top 4 a lot more easier. The next 2 and final comments are from Dylan Burrows. The first one says, Solovyov and Salmelainen for a goalie, LOL, or Lou. I don't know what he's trying to say. He has a lot of spelling errors in this comment, and it's barely able to, I may barely able to read it, but I do understand what he's trying to say. But he says to basically trade Solovyov and Salmelainen for a goaltender. But then his next comment says, get the goalie for sure, and once we have another goalie, or willing to trade for one, get rid of Solovyov. So now he's basically saying, I guess, not to trade Solovyov, but if once we get another goaltender, maybe we could trade Solovyov. That works. So there is a chance down the road that Solovyov can definitely be dealt, but I'm not too sure when I want to do that. I do still like Solovyov, but I don't like his inconsistencies that he's had. He is only signed here for a few more years now. He did win the Vezina this season, which is pretty damn nice. So at least we do have a Vezina trophy in his cabinet, but he has definitely been a bit inconsistent at times, and he is already 29 years old. So maybe at some point we definitely find a goalie replacement. Now that high fringe starter could develop into being him, so a good replacement for him. So that might be who we lean towards. But the consistency with Solovyov has been a problem for most of his career, because his first 3 years he didn't post a single 900 save percentage. Now we were in the rebuilding stage during that time, so it kind of makes sense, but then he posts a 910, so it looks pretty good, drops down to a 906, goes back up to a 913. So at that point I'm thinking this guy's gonna end up winning like maybe a Vezina trophy winning goaltender, and then he drops down to an 899 the season afterwards, goes back up to a 914 this last season. Now, playoffs have been really inconsistent too. He posted an 863 in his first ever playoff run. Second year posted a 922, almost got us to Stanley Cup, and in this year an 812. So going from a 922 to an 812 is pretty crazy. So I really hope he finds himself this year, and maybe we don't have to part ways with him, but could be something that we end up doing at some point. He has 6 years left on his contract, so I honestly might be willing to trade him within 3 of those years if he's not good. I don't really want to trade him within 1 to 2 years, just because I feel like it's kind of a bit too early for that contract. But it's not like he's making the craziest contract in the world. Like if he was making over $10 million as a goalie, I feel like the need to move him would be more so. But the fact that he's only making 7.5 isn't really that bad. And we do have a young, good goaltender in Hainsey. Maybe Hainsey's the type of guy that could take over a starting job at some point, or like I said, that goalie that we might end up drafting. But for right now, we definitely need some more goaltender prospects that will eventually take that spot from Solovyov. So with that said, I think we're ready to hop on into this draft and see what we're able to snag up. Hopefully we can get some decent players outside of that low elite and also that goaltender. I feel like that goaltender is going to be pretty good. When is he supposed to go again? Because Senator talk us to the Sigmund's second round. I want to make sure we have the right picks, that we're able to grab both of them. So we do have multiple second rounders. This one's 21st in the second round, which would be equivalent to 53rd, I guess. So let me just take a look at the draft class again here for a second. Just want to make sure we actually don't have to make a trade for a higher up pick. He might actually go a little bit earlier, so I actually might have to move up a couple spots in that second round, which I'm okay with doing. So honestly, we might package like one of our seconds with like, I don't know, a 7th rounder, try and move up so that way we could get Scholes as that goalie prospect. So that might be something we look to do. And like I said, obviously we're going to be trying to trade Salmelainen at this draft as well. So that's going to be the first case of order, is trying to find a way to trade him and see what we can get. So let's see what we could do here. Let's go find trade here and see what trade options we have for Salmelainen. I'm trying to get a first round pick, but I feel like some teams might only offer me some second rounders. But let's see on an open block what teams will throw at us. Gabriel Dagan, a first round pick. No, thank you, but that's kind of interesting. A first round pick this year, 15th overall, and a 3rd round pick. 15th overall is not bad. I don't know if there's anybody good around that spot, though. A second in Duguay. 2 second rounders, Hellenius a 3rd in Harrington, Zikov, Stillman in 4th, 2 second rounders in Cracknell, 2 3rd rounders in Cole Perfetti, and then a 21st overall in 117. So the Avs are willing to give us the most. 15th overall this year is pretty damn high. Now, is there a good player that's supposed to go 15th overall this year? Because maybe I'd be willing to take something like that if the 15th overall I could get somebody good. Moss? I don't know if Moss looks that good. He could be an elite player, but it's hard to tell. And then this guy could be elite as well in Eichel, but he doesn't look very good. Medium 4 and Sergeyev looks okay. I don't feel like this draft class is super good, and that's probably why they're willing to give up 15th overall. So I think we're going to try and trade for a future year draft instead. Now, there is some other guys that look okay, like Conroy, that are late first round picks that we'd be able to snag up early on if we really want to, but yeah, I think instead of trading him for the 15th overall pick, we're going to try and trade to a team for a future first-round pick. So let's go offer trade instead. Now, the Colorado Avalanche might be actually a good destination for Salmelainen still, if they're willing to give up that much. So let's try and still make a deal maybe with the Avs, but for a different pick instead. I feel like he definitely has enough trade value that he could get me still first, but other teams are willing to give seconds and thirds, so if I took their first for next year unprotected, and then I also took, let's see, maybe a third rounder for next year as well. Is that close enough? It could be. A first and a third for Salmelainen. I think I'd be willing to take something like that. I don't think I could do a first and a second, but a first and a third might work. So Salmelainen to Colorado for a first and a third round pick. And that's accepted. Okay, well, that's a nice little deal done. I think that was probably pretty good to get a first rounder for from Colorado. I don't know how good Colorado is at this stage, but Salmelainen should help them out. And that first round pick, who knows if it'll be decent enough for us. Now, Salmelainen becomes their second best defender, and he does help out that top 4 a lot for them. So there is a chance that this makes maybe Colorado a lot better of a team than they were. But I'm really hoping that obviously they don't make the playoffs. They don't have the best team on paper, so that might have actually been a good deal because Salmelainen is the second best player on the entire roster. So I'm really hoping that that trade gives us a chance maybe to get a lottery pick from Colorado. So we'll see if that ends up being the case, obviously, in a season or so, but that was a nice little deal to start off this episode. Anyways, the first overall pick, Nashville just took Deming, who's an 83 overall meme elite sniper. Right wing, left wing. All right. Good shooting categories. Pretty much good everywhere. Could also win faceoffs. All right. Wheels and puck on a string. Next pick, the Calgary Flames are going to select Mikulski. Damn it, I haven't seen that name in a while. The last Mikulski that I've seen in a franchise mode, you guys probably weren't even watching this channel at this point, but I had a Vancouver franchise in NHL 17. I had a guy named Vince Mikulski who was a very good offensive defenseman, so this guy could be a distant relative considering he's also an offensive defenseman, but interesting. Peyton Mikulski, okay. We'll see if this guy ends up being a Norris Trophy winner down the road. Next pick, the St. Louis Blues are going to select Doan, who's also an offensive defenseman, so maybe there's some good offensive defenders in this draft class based on this, but Ray Doan wears number 97 just a year after Connor McDavid retires, so maybe he's a Connor McDavid fan. Who knows? The next pick, the Vegas Golden Knights, who have their pick on the block, are going to select another offensive defenseman. Damn, 3 offensive defensemen in the top 5 is way more than I anticipated. Yeah, maybe there's some good offensive defenders this year. Victor Punos. All right. It's Victor Punos, no X factors. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins at 5 selected DFD. So there's the first defensive defenseman, Ilya Ivanov. All right. Kind of interesting that a DFD would have Relentless, but I'm not going to complain. All right, so those are the top 5 picks of this draft. Obviously, we're going to look to still move up early into the second round pick as well. So, yeah, let's simulate. Actually, do I need to move up again? Did I say? I feel like I said I did, but I also need to double check that I actually need to. Yeah, I think I definitely still need to. So we'll take Ragnarsson with our first rounder, and then we'll try and move up early into the second round, and we'll see if we're able to snag up that goaltender. Hopefully we can, because I think we need goalie prospects, just in case Solovyov doesn't end up being that guy. All right, let's send him to 28 and see if we get that low elite, which we should be able to. Considering he's not supposed to go in the first round technically, so we'll go back here to Ragnarsson, and we'll take him. I'm guessing he's going to be like a 65 with his attributes, maybe a 66, 67 at most, but I think a 65 is probably the best point. Maybe at the lowest a 63, something like that. So Kalle Ragnarsson, no X factors probably, but let's take him anyways and see how good he is. 66, actually, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I did expect it to be to 63 to a 68, so kind of understand now how good players are when it comes to drafting. But there is Ragnarsson. Looks like he could also win some face-offs, so maybe we could literally use him similarly to Seal Fido. Obviously, Seal Fido was better at face-offs out of the draft, but this guy's a pretty good little addition. Might be a good bottom 6 player for us if he doesn't develop into being a top 6 player. So, nice little selection there. All right, let's go to the second round here and trade with somebody that wants to move their pick, like the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know if I should move up this high into the second round, but maybe I should move a little bit further back, because he is supposed to go around like 41st at the earliest, I think. So maybe even LA would be fine. What pick is this? 38, yeah, well, let's try for the 38th pick. So to get 38th, obviously we're going to give up 53rd, I guess. I could technically maybe give both second rounders, to be honest, but we'll give 53rd. And we will also give, trying to think. Maybe I give up my third round pick. This isn't a super strong draft class. Maybe I give up the third. Trying to think if I want to do that or not. Is there anybody else I want to trade on this roster, out of curiosity, that has value that's probably not going to pan out or something? Not really. Now, there is Ulanov, who's medium elite, but I don't know if Ulanov's going to be that insane. 71 overall now, though, at 22. He's probably going to make the NHL, but I don't feel like he's going to be crazy. But let's go draft picks. Let's try giving up like our 4th round pick on top of our 2nd and seeing if we can move up that many spots. Okay, it worked. Okay, that worked. Nice. We didn't need that 4th rounder anyways, so we do move up a couple of spots. And we will be able to get ourselves probably that high fringe starter goaltender, which I think is going to be an interesting addition because he's got like not the craziest potential, but he's going to have a high overall. He's only 18. So as long as he develops, not like some of those high backups or medium backups that you drafted are like high overalls, as long as he develops, he's going to be probably a legit starter in the NHL, my guess. So let's simulate to our next pick here at 38 and make that selection. Let me actually call it time, and I don't need to call it timeout probably. Let me take a look at the picks before selection anyways, see if there's any good steals. Conroy was a low lead as well, which I did have him pinned. I wasn't too sure if he was low lead, but he is a 66 overall low lead power forward. That would have been kind of nice to pick, but it is what it is. Alfredson is his top 6. Let me go past our first round selection here. Okay, see, Drake was medium 9, Powell medium 9. Yeah, not the best late stages of this draft. Okay, so that means our next selection is going to be probably one of the first goalies in this draft. Now, there is some other goalie options like medium starters and stuff like that, but I really do like the look of Scholes. Like, this guy could be an elite goaltender, and, well, maybe not. He's the only Bs and stuff. He might be a backup that has a high overall, too. Now, there is probably elite goalies in this draft, but I think Scholes is still kind of the most intriguing, considering he's 18, and he's got these type of attributes 2 years out. Like, if he's making the NHL at 20 years old, that's definitely a win as a fringe starter goalie. So, let's take the German Andreas Scholes, and maybe he'll be our future starter. 71 overall. See, that's a pretty good starting point for an 18-year-old goaltender, especially with high fringe starter potential. If he was a medium fringe, I wouldn't be too sold on him maybe, but high fringe, he could definitely develop. He should develop a little bit quicker since he's got high part of it, not medium. But this is what he looks like out of the draft in case any goalie guys know stuff. But he's got really good puck playing frequency and solid passing. So maybe this guy's going to be a really good passing goalie. But his attributes all around, really no weakness, I would say at least. Maybe his poise, but I think that's because of lack of experience. Yeah, literally everywhere is like a 78 plus. So I like this addition a lot, I think. I think that should be interesting. He could even play in the AHL next year if we really want to. But I don't know if that's a great idea or not. I might leave that up to you guys. Do you think he should get an AHL contract right away and play in the minors next season? Because we could always try him out and see if he could be in the NHL within a year or so, but we don't necessarily need to rush him either, so I'll let that up to you guys. All right, next pick at 60th, which is also still in the second round. Let's see if we can find maybe some other steals in this class. There's a low 6, which is not really anything. Is there any guaranteed players? I don't remember. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there was a low lead that's supposed to go undrafted. Sorokin, he's 20 years old. I honestly would probably take him with our 6th round selection just for fun. But he's the only one I have left on my watch list. So let's go through these guys and see if there's anybody with maybe some decent attributes that scream interesting. Like this guy, Moses looks okay. He's not supposed to be. He's unknown. No ETA. Kari Hall looks actually not that bad. Yeah, Kari Hall is probably going to be my selection here. We could use more center depth, so I don't mind it. 6'5", 207. Like he's probably a power forward based on his size, but he also could be a tall two-way forward. You know what? I think I got to give a chance to the Finn. So let's take Kari Hall and see how good he is. Low top 6. Damn, I was hoping he'd be a low leap. 63 overall, 2way forward. He's got a lot of size to him. Not the most physical for his size, but honestly, I don't think that's a terrible selection as a low 6. Like, he could be a low 6 that ends up making it, or he becomes a really good top 6 forward in the AHL, which means at least helping the AHL team get a chance for a Calder Cup. All right, next pick at 92nd, which is in the 3rd round, as another goalie just went. Sugihara was only a 48 overall medium starter. Interesting. Is there any good selections before pick here in this round? Not really. Yeah, this draft class is probably one of the weaker ones we've seen. But at least we found some good steals here. So, our next selection. I don't know if we necessarily want to take a 20-year-old goaltender, Vince German. He's probably not going to be that great. Carlton, who could be an offensive defenseman, is kind of interesting. Maybe 2 years out, maybe, as a 19-year-old. You know, I got to take a chance on that. I feel like he's going to be a low 4, though, and he's going to be like a 67 or something like that at 19, and it's not going to be that great. So, we're going to still take a chance on him, though. Nathaniel Carlton, welcome aboard. And he's a low lead. Okay, I wasn't expecting a low lead. I actually expected a low 4, but that's not bad. 65 at 19 is a little bit on the lower end of things, but maybe this guy ends up bringing some good depth to our defensive core. And like I said, this could be maybe even a replacement for Salmelainen or something like that. So, yeah, solid offensive awareness, solid defensive awareness. No real crazy weakness other than his physical play. He's very unphysical. Like, he's not one of these guys that hits. Even though he's 6'5", 218, you think he would fill out his frame a little bit more and start throwing hits and all that. But this guy does not check for a big guy, which is kind of weird for a defenseman. So, I don't mind that selection. We'll see if this guy ends up panning out as a good low leap, but I definitely think he has a tool bag to becoming an NHL defenseman, except for his physicality, maybe a little bit is lackluster, but let's eliminate to our next pick in round 5. We do only have a couple more selections to make. Round 5, 6, and 7, I think? Yeah, because we just traded away our 4th. So 5, 6, and 7, I think. And that's funny because it looks like Spencer Knight might have just got dealt in this game, which is kind of funny considering he just got dealt in real life the other day. But let's see if we can find any other steals here. So 5, 6, and 7. We'll probably take the lowly that's supposed to go undrafted, probably 7th round, which means here we'll look, see if there's any other steals. Maybe Mario Menard. He could be an elite guy, but it's hard to tell. Low bottom 6 forwards are supposed to go at this stage. Jeez, this might not be good the rest of the way. We're probably going to make some pretty bad selections here, but there's not really any good selections, I feel like, either. Ooh, Voros might be an actually okay goaltender, too, but he might not be good potential-wise. There's a medium fringe in Stafford. Do I just take another goalie just for the hell of it? I don't know. Bordeleau could be low elite. You know what? Maybe just because he looks like he could be a low elite, let's just take a chance on Maxime Bordeleau. I know we don't need defenders that much, but we'll take him anyways. Low top 60, probably not going to make it, but that's all right. We're not going to hit on every single selection. 6th round, and then we have our 7th round selection, I think, still, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, we do. 220 next. Okay. So, can we find anything here before we take that low lead that's guaranteed in Sorokin's? Let's see. Maybe we take a chance on DesRoches. Yeah, let's take DesRoches. Why not? Considering he's 3 bars low elite. Boom. Low elite. Nice. 52 overall left wing playmaker. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I will definitely take that. But this is not actually that bad of a draft for us, to be honest. I mean, some of these guys are low overalls, but they'll somewhat pan out. We've drafted a couple low elites in this draft class, and also that goaltender. So we'll see if DesRoches becomes a decent playmaker for us, if he becomes more of an AHLer, but still could be somebody that makes the NHL team down the road. If he gets a lot of growth with them 1 year, like Leahy or something, that'd be nice. That would be nice. All right, our final pick of the draft, we know it's going to be another low elite, which so far we've drafted quite a bit of low elites. We've drafted, I guess, like, yeah, 3 of them? Yeah, 3 of them. First round, third round, or not third, yeah, third round, and then also just 6th round. So we're making some good selections here, aside from Bordelot, probably. But let's take that last guy that was supposed to go undrafted if he's still there, which he is. Lowly Grinder. I mean, sometimes when these guys are supposed to go undrafted in our low lead, they're not actually low leads. So I really hope this guy's actually at low leads. So let's see if he ends up being a low lead or not. So Michael Sorokins, 20 years old. So he's probably going to be a very low overall at 20. But I don't care. He's a low lead. So let's take him. Boom. 55. I mean, that's not terrible, but it is pretty low for 20-year-olds. I honestly don't know if he'll end up being that insane. But if he becomes at least just a bottom 6 forward at best, that's not that bad. So he would have been one of those low leads that went undrafted for sure if we didn't take a chance on him. But might as well take a chance on him, see if he becomes something decent for our bottom 6 or not. If not, he could become an AHL or something like that. But I think that's a good little selection just in case he ends up panning out. So there is our drafts. Not too bad of one, I would say. Ragnarsson should be interesting. Scholes as a goalie is kind of intriguing still. Hall as a low 6 to me. I think like he could make it, or he could become like maybe a 75 in the AHL, something like that. So I don't mind that as a low 6. Carlson is solid, even though he's a little bit of an older guy. Bordelot is definitely our worst selection, I'd say, of the draft class. And then DeRoche and Sorokins honestly could be pretty decent as low lead options too. So I'd say a pretty good draft class for us, even though the draft class on paper didn't really look that great. All right, the next stage we have is this Resign stage. So we got rid of Salmelainen, which is good. That'll free up some cap space as well for this offseason. But obviously, we're going to try and bring back mostly everybody for the NHL team. Wow, the HL head coach wants a lot of money. Damn, $5 million bucks, even though his role is the HL head coach. I feel like that's an overpayment, but let's just give him what he wants. Sure. We could always look for different AHL coaches, but at the same time, I don't really know if the AHL team needs that much work or not. So we'll just sign these guys back up. There you go. Hopefully they accept that. I don't know if there's any scouts that need to be re-signed. Yeah, there's one. Just Bertram, the QMJHL scout. All right. Maddox Bertram. So there you are, Maddox. Let's give you a contract. Boom. Take the money. And now that is good. Now we got the re-sign stage. So who do we got to re-sign this offseason? And I'll still leave you guys up to the decision with the goaltender for the young guy if we want to bring him into the AHL or not. But we do have... Who do we have in the system for goalies? So NHL would be Solovyov and Hainsey. Smits would be signed. We do need a backup. Actually, no, we don't really. Landon just got signed recently. So do we sign Scholes as an AHL backup goaltender for Smits and then Landon just gets scratched, or what? Maybe I'll just qualify Smits, but I don't think I need to qualify him even. I could just give him a two-way deal. All right, so yeah, I think we will probably just sign Smits still, but I feel like that AHL goalie could, or that goalie we just drafted could get a chance next year potentially. So let's just do a one-year deal for Smits and just up this a little bit because I would be okay with letting him go soon if he doesn't pan out, but let's give him a contract. Other RFA players we have, let's go defenders. So Schaefer's the big one. Cassivi, what are you wanting right now, out of curiosity? It's not too bad. It's a little trial run of a contract. I honestly don't mind it. You know what? Let's give him exactly what he's asking for. I think that's cheap enough. I know we don't have the craziest amount of cap space, but I feel like it's a nice little trial contract for him to see if he ends up being something for an NHL team or not. Let's get Roland signed. Schaefer needs obviously a big-time contract, potentially. He wants only a 4-year deal, though. And he does become only an RFA at the end of it, so that's actually not that bad. Also has a lot of organizational interest, so I will be able to lower this contract down. It is a trial one contract, kind of like what we gave to Salmelainen, actually, for that matter. 4 by 4.625. And after that, maybe we give him a long-term deal. Let's see what else we got here. Ellington, that's just a two-way contract likely. He's getting close to the NHL, though, which is nice. Kadri as well could get a two-way contract. Same with Rokan. Eventually, we're going to have to let go of some of these type of guys in the AHL, though. So Rokan signs. Left wingers, we got Leeson. This is kind of an interesting one. Is he still listed as a second liner or no? Third liner now. Okay, that's good. That's good. I don't mind that. He could still be a third-line guy for us. Honestly, that's not a bad contract, like 3x3 or something like that. I'll see if he accepts a 3x3, because I think that's actually an okay deal for me. And then I could move him if we really get into any problematic stuff, but let's get those AHLers signed. Giordano, oh yeah, he's going to be the big one for sure this offseason, huh? Or one of the big ones. So I'll come back to Giordano in a second here, because I know he's going to probably be asking for a good amount. UFAs, we don't really have that much crazy UFAs to let go of, but first we need to set loose Quincy Wallace. He's pretty much our biggest let go of this offseason. Not the craziest player in the world. We did trade for him, I think, right? Yeah, he was drafted by New Jersey. I think he was on a different team, but he was part of a trade. He came over here. Became, honestly, an okay bottom six option for the most part. Was like a depth forward at one point, but honestly, not a bad option. Had an okay playoffs last year. But we wish him best of luck in free agency. Sorry if you can hear a plow in the background. It is just annoying as shit. But we are going to set loose Wallace, so best of luck to him. Aside from that, Kaminsky and Lindros, I feel like I honestly could just let them go. But they are okay depth forwards, to be honest, too. They do want two-way deals only, too, which is pretty nice. Albrecht is definitely getting his ELC. He could potentially be playing in the NHL right away next year. So, big contract there. Aside from that, let's get Prince maybe re-signed for the AHL as well, if you'll accept that. Sprokes needs an AHL contract as a low lead for sure. Tua Minen, not the best low lead to be honest, but we'll sign him anyways too. Which means I think I'm going to let go of both Prince and Unila. Unila's an okay depth defender, but at this time, we might as well let him go because he's a lot older, so... And I do have already, what's his name, Pratt signed for the AHL as a older defender. And then Liam Prince, who was a first-round pick of ours, really hasn't panned out. So I'm going to let go with these guys both. Maybe they come back in a sense, but right now I don't really need to hold on to them. I might hold on to Lindros and Kaminsky as depth forwards. I don't know if they're the most insane options in the world, but we might just hold on to them. We could always replace them with other people down the road. Let's give them one-year deals if they both want two-way contracts, which they do, which is pretty nice, actually. Considering their decent overall ratings. Let's get them both signed up on a two-way deal. And then who knows, maybe they'll be in the NHL next year. Maybe they'll be in the AHL as kind of like veteran leadership kind of players. I don't mind that. Wow, Kaminsky's not even losing any contract interest as I lower this, which is kind of weird. Oh, no, it's a little bit. Let's do $875 for a year. Boom. Alright, so that should be good. The one now we have to worry about here is Giordano. I don't know how much he's going to want, but I am curious. Let's see. As a top 6 forward, $10 million is not the craziest thing. He doesn't have the craziest organizational interest, so I don't know if I could drop it down by 2 bars. I might actually just try that and see if I could drop him down by like a bar and a half or something like that. But... yeah, this is going to be a contract that I'm not too sure on. Because the first year he has no clause, but then he picks up a 5-year no movement. I would probably want to trade him and waive his no movement clause at some point if he's not performing. But I feel like he's a good addition in the top 6. Like, if we look at his stats here, as a career Long Islander so far, he's only played 3 years. First year, 33 points in the bottom 6, 42 points the next year. This year, 67. So he's on the upwards trajectory in goal scoring, points, and all that. And in the playoffs, 4.6 games. Not too bad. Only a 1 goal, which is a bit risky. But I feel like it's either that or we end up losing him in free agency down the road. So I think I'm going to give him what he's asking for. This honestly could come back completely to bite us in the ass, but I really hope that he accepts a little bit less money at least, because over $10 million to me is a bit of a risk. This also could be just a bad contract in general, but maybe we'll try and get him to waive his clause just so I can actually use that feature, because I haven't tried to get a guy to waive his clause before. So 9.55 for 6 years with 5 years of it being a no movement. I feel like this is a big gamble, but I'm kind of willing to take it just because he's in a top 6 role, and he could be a first-line guy for us at some point too, right? So we're going to offer him this and see if he'll accept that. But that's going to be our biggest contract this offseason. So let's advance a day and see if all of our RFAs accept. Damn, there's a bug flying around my face. Let's see. Did all the RFAs accept, considering all the UFAs and stuff have already been pretty much dealt with? So Cassivi's on board for 2 years. Nice. And he becomes an RFA still. Smits is on board for the AHL. Lindros on board. And Giordano rejected 9.5. So he doesn't want 9.5. Kaminsky's back. Leeson's back. Schaefer's back as well. So Giordano's the only one right now that we need to worry about. So he would not accept 9.5. So would he accept 10 million? I do need to try and lower it a little bit at least. This could end up being like one of the worst contracts I ever give out though. I just feel like it's a bit of a risk. But if he's on the upwards trajectory, I think he could be good this season. So I feel like this could be worth the while. So 6-year deal at $10 million with a no movement for 5 years. Let's go offer contract and see if he'll accept that. And sorry for all the background noise still. It's friggin' annoying, these friggin' snow plows, man. Alright, so will Giordano accept? Also, the unsigned, do I need to sign anybody? Maybe Novoseltsev actually for the AHL wouldn't be a bad option. But do I even have the contract room? I do. Do I need an AHL defenseman? Let me just double check on this. Do I need an AHL defender? Not. Maybe actually. 3, 4, 5, 6 under contract. We don't have a 7th. You know what? Maybe I will sign Novoseltsev to his ELC already. Get him playing in the minors. Aside from that, any other unsigned guys I would sign already? Not Ragnarsson yet, not Carlton. Yeah, I'd probably leave a lot of these guys unsigned just to see if they'll grow already. Scholza is the only other one that I might sign, potentially, depending on what you guys say. But will Giordano accept the 6-year deal, $10 million bucks? It's a lot of money. It's a big risk. But I think, hypothetically, he should get more and more better. And at some point, we could always move on from Frundell, and that will free up cap space down the road, too. But I think we got to trust in some of these guys, and let's give a chance and see if Giordano will accept this. And he's going to accept it. All right. 6-year deal, $10 million. I don't think that's a bad problem. Also, a lot of people are gaining morale because he re-signed with us. So maybe he's a well-liked guy on this team, which would be a good thing, obviously. He's kind of like the replacement, like I said, for Jääskeläinen. So I don't mind that. And we're only down to 9.585 in cap space. So the question is, do we need anything this offseason now going forward? I don't feel like we do. Because from a forward perspective, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Corlew could be the fourth line center. Lindros and Kaminsky would be the depth forwards. I don't feel like we really need too much on offense. I really don't. From a defensive standpoint, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Albrecht probably becomes the top 6 defenseman to play with Cassivi. Pratt or Osgood could be a depth defenseman if we really want to, or we could sign ourselves a new depth defenseman. So maybe one defender would be okay. Maybe one defender. From a goaltending perspective, we probably don't need any goaltenders. We could, like I said, we could give Schultz his ELC if we want to, but we could run Smits and Lane next year too in the AHL. So I don't really think we need too much other than a depth defender this offseason, which is good because we have a lot of cap space still as well, just in case we want to make moves at the deadline this year. So let's sim to free agency and see what's available. We'll also take a look at the trading block in case there's more trades to have this offseason, as we lose both of our AHL coaches, which I kind of say is okay, because maybe the AHL team needs a new coaching staff anyways. So that's another thing we should be doing in the next episode, is finding new AHL coaches. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at what's available in free agency. Like I said, we don't really need too much of anything, but let's see if there's anything worth going for potentially. So there's some good goaltenders. Robida has a 91, but we don't need a new goaltender, I don't think, this year. I'm willing to trust Solovyov this season. He's been back and forth, so I think I'll be okay with him and Hainsey. But there is some solid goaltenders as UFAs this offseason, so not that we need any, but still kind of cool to see. From a defensive standpoint, like I said, we do need maybe a depth defender. There isn't any crazy defenders out there. The best is Crowder as an 85 overall, so nobody crazy. Duclair, wasn't he on that team that just beat us recently? Yeah, he was. I thought so. As in Calgary got dealt to Boston and it beat us in the first round. Damn, man. Any depth defender that we could bring in, because Albrecht probably will play on our team next season. So maybe just one depth defenseman would be okay, unless we are okay with using Pratt. So somebody like Morrow, maybe we're not Morrow because he's a top 6. Who's actually a depth defender? Let's see, go down here. Any crazy good depth defenseman? 77, like, we could definitely even bring back O'Neill as a depth defenseman if we really want, but, Van Allen as a right-handed depth defenseman's not bad. He's an offensive defenseman as well, though, which is kind of surprising. Kostitsin as a DFD right-handed depth defenseman. Pretty solid defensive stats, so maybe he would be a good depth defender for us. Because he's got really good defensive awareness, shot blocking, and stick checking. So this guy could be, honestly, a solid depth defender just to kind of give us good defensive play when he's in the lineup. That might be who I'm leaning towards right now, at least. Aside from that, I don't think we really need any new depth forwards, but I'll still show you guys who's available in case. So Guerrero as a forward is an 84. He's the best on the right-hand side of things. Aside from that, I'll just probably scroll through this in case you guys see anybody cool to bring in, but I don't think we really need to spend too much this offseason anyways. Left wing side of things, William Eklund is a free agent. Damn, that's a pretty good left winger to have, but he's 92 at 34, so he's probably going to drop off soon. Jaguar's a low 6, interesting. Yeah, like I said, I don't think we're going to be going for our big names in free agency anyways, but we just need a couple depth options maybe about most, so I still think it's going to be another good season ahead, even though we technically just made a small adjustment. I think we're going to have another good year. Hopefully a better playoffs, though, of course, because that was probably one of the worst playoffs I think I've ever had after a good season, so. Quirk is a 79 depth forward kind of option. Not bad. 16 goals last year is actually pretty good. Huh. If I didn't bring back like Lindros and stuff like this, maybe this guy would be a depth forward for me. So that's not too bad. Damn, Michael Misa really didn't pan out in this franchise, huh? He didn't really pan out. That's weird. I feel like he always normally pans out, but he was 6th overall by the Blackhawks. He's only a 79 at 30. And he's only got 129 career points in 374 games. Is this the worst you guys ever seen Michael Misa in terms of his career? Because I feel like I've never seen him be this bad. Most of the time he ends up developing into a really good player. But, yeah, no awards probably for him even. Damn. What was his career high out of curiosity in points and all that? Obviously not that. His best was 34 points. Yeah, I usually see him doing a lot better in franchise mode. I'm kind of surprised. Unless NHL 25, they made him a lot worse than 24. But, damn. Alright, so there is all that. Now the question is the trading block. I don't feel like there's any trades that we need to make really either this offseason, considering we got rid of Salmelainen, but let's just take a look and see what's out there just in case. Do our due diligence and see if there's any options we could bring in. Mason Lurai, Xavier Hoffman, I think his name was. Don't remember your name, but all these guys beat us in the playoffs, so I don't really want to bring him in. Jackson Blake, I think that is still. Connor Geeky's there. Like, there is some okay options, but I don't think I really need to rework our team that much, to be honest. I'm excited to see what Salmelainen does in Colorado. And look, Colorado's put even Cale Makar on the trading block, which is kind of strange, because they just traded their first-round pick this upcoming year. Cale Makar would be literally interesting to bring in, but he is dropping off quite a bit. 36 points, 27 points. If he was still putting up like 106 points like he did not too long ago, that would be friggin' sick as a depth defender, or actually like a top 6 defenseman for the team, but he's a pretty damn good defenseman, obviously. $3 million only, so he's on a good little contract too, but I hope Colorado has a bad season, because if that pick becomes actually a really good player, that would be nice. That would be nice. Doan is on the block. I think it's still Josh Doan. Edmonton has nothing. Like, there is okay options, but like I said, I don't think there's anything we need to rework that much. I know we had a bad playoffs and all that, but I think a small little adjustment is all that needed to be made. I hope Salmelainen still has a good time in Colorado, though. Like, hopefully he has a good career ahead of him. Despite, I guess he lived up to the expectations with our team, but we just had to eventually find a replacement, and Schaefer grew a lot faster than I was anticipating. He's the one that kind of pushed him out of the lineup a bit. So we've had to trade him and Salmelainen and Sierra in the last 2 years. So we definitely have been a pretty good defensive drafting team for the most part. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything I would trade for. It'd be more just bringing in a depth person on trade on signings. And apparently Sierra is an RFA right now. So Utah has maybe a contract problem. Maybe they're low on cap space because also Haken, who is another one of their defenders, is currently also an RFA. McInnes has 1 year left. I gotta look at their cap space just to see if they have actually the cap space to bring back Sierra. Because if they don't, I feel bad that I traded Sierra there instead. Hopefully he gets a good long-term contract out of his RFA status. But let's take a look at that quickly just for fun. Because I don't normally take a look at other teams too often. Unless I'm playing them in the playoffs. But Utah has $1.545 million in cap space. They do not have enough money to re-sign Sierra and that other defenseman. Which makes their defensive core even weaker. Damn, that's actually kind of insane. And Lightning is also... Actually, no, Lightning signed for next year. So Lightning might actually get a chance to play because Sierra is going to be out, potentially. That's actually kind of weird. Did Lightning get any NHL games last year? He did not. He played the entire year in the AHL. Didn't make the playoffs, but 33 points, 72 games. So yeah, Lightning's probably going to get a chance to play on their defensive core next season because, yeah, with $1.545 million in cap space and having all... Actually, how much RFAs do they got? Just Haken and Sierra. They're not going to be able to sign both of them for that price total. So, yikes. So they got to free up cap space if they want both these guys back, which I would probably recommend them doing that. But who are they going to trade away that's making a ton of money? Because they're still paying a lot of money to Tijja Gimlo. They're obviously paying a ton of money to the franchise guy, Brian Ritchie. So, they need to free up cap space somehow. Isaac Rosen's probably the best option for them to trade away. $79.9 million is an 84. Yikes. Yeah, their AI might have been a little bit dumb with some of the contracts they handed out. But if Sierra and stuff holds out all year, Lightning's going to get maybe a chance with Utah this season, which is kind of nice for him. So, we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. Anything else we want to take a look at before we end off this episode? I don't think there is. Actually, let's go to the coaching staff for a second here. We do need an AHL coach. We actually need AHL head coach, associate coach, and a goalie coach for our NHL team. So let's just take a look at some of those options out there just in case. See if there's any pretty good coaches we could help out the AHL team with. Obviously, this is NHL coaches, so I should go probably to AHL head coach. Because I want the AHL to start simulating maybe a little bit better too. 59% on Hasek. 59% on Duras as well. Maybe there's some options for the AHL as a coach. 66% on Kubalik. Alright. Maybe this guy would be a better coach in the AHL. Yeah, that actually could be the option potentially. And then we need an associate coach and all that. And then our NHL goalie coach obviously just going to be whoever actually has a good rating in terms of like teaching or coach influence. If there's a goalie coach, which I don't see one right now, which is kind of surprising. Usually you see them right at the top. Is there any coaches that have a goalie in terms of teaching? Let me take a look at this for a second here. Is there any goalie options? There might not be any goalie coaches. Maybe there is. Let's see. Generalist. It'll be right below generalist. Damn, there's a lot of generalist coaches. There we go. Goalie coaches. So, the best is a B-. That's not too bad. We'll probably end up bringing that guy in as our goalie coach. Alright. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to free agency. We won't make any probably huge adjustments in the rest of this offseason now that we've traded away Salmelainen. We'll also start up the season simulation and see how good this team does. I feel like obviously it's going to be another good year. It's going to be maybe a bit different not having Salmelainen on our defensive core, but Schaefer's going to get a big opportunity. We're going to get some youth injection with some of the guys from the AHL and all that, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what this team could do this year. Obviously, I think we're going to make it the playoffs again, but I'm really not too sure on how long, just based on how our last playoffs was for. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.